Hello and welcome back, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Today we will be doing a rundown of Tinto Talks number 18, aka the top secret game that is being worked on, or is it? It's called Project Caesar, or is it just Project Teaser? Are they in fact working on a game? What if they weren't working on a game and it was just a government psyop? Who knows? But we know it's very secret, whatever it is, except for we know it's Europa Universalis 5. Welcome, everyone, to another Tinto Talks. This is the time of the week where we will be focusing on gathering your helpful feedback. Don't you mean Happy Wednesday? Happy Wednesday has been present for 2 weeks, and now happiness is gone in the Tinto Talks factory. I don't know what happened. Maybe someone's house burned down. Thoughts and prayers. On how to shape this secret game with the codename of Project Teaser together. I mean Project Caesar. Today we will be getting into politics, and I'm actually pretty excited about this one because the law system they have seems to be pretty cool for creating emergent sort of like game actions, developments through nations over time through the system of laws. So it's very, very exciting, and discuss how laws function specifically. Sadly, when this is going live, I'm going to be technically on vacation. What does technically on vacation mean? But okay. And why is this a sadly? Don't you like vacation? No, you like development. So might not be able to reply. That's good news for you, though, is that at St. Dave UK and Pavia are more than happy to reply. We had various forms of laws in previous strategy games, everything from deciding how the upper house in Victoria 2 is composed to simpler things like decisions the Education Act in EU3 that give you a permanent bonus. In Project Caesar, what we will define as a law is something that has 2 or more policies to choose from, and you can change the policy for a cost. That seems like a simple enough definition. Many of the laws have unique policies that are available for certain tags, religions, cultures, or other restrictions. I think that this is super cool because it's going to give more replayability, because if you have some things available to you as a specific nation that's going to encourage you to build in a particular way, then this is going to make every playthrough that is on a different nation feel a little bit different, or is going to maybe, allow you to play in different ways. Currently, most countries start with about 12 to 15 laws. That sounds like a pretty healthy amount, that they have policies on from the start, and there are about 40 laws that appear over the ages. So that sounds like quite a bit of customization and trying to figure out what is best. We can see here there's different types of laws in terms of brackets, administrative laws, religious laws, different categories, but okay. Enacting a policy for a new law is merely a cost in gold, but changing a policy is far more costly. At a base of around 100 stability, that sounds like a lot of stability. That sounds like 100 is a big number, I think. Assuming it's up to plus 100 and minus 100, or something like this, that's like half your stability bar. I don't think they've talked about this yet. It's rather costly, and while having high crown power reduces it, okay, so we have interactions that will allow you to change things more easily. Having low crown power, which would be very common at early part of the game, would increase that further. So we have a system where, early on, stuff's going to be decentralized. You're going to be forced into bad laws. You're not going to have access to the good laws, and one of the ways you're going to be able to progress things is by passing better and better laws. So for example, control, which allows you to actually get more out of your states, is really low at game start, and we can expect to see laws, perhaps, that are going to increase control, allowing you to have a more far-flung empire as the game progresses. I think that it's important that blobbing really, really early in 1337 shouldn't make sense, and I think that laws are going to be something that contributes to the hampering the player from just going absolutely nutso at the very start of the game. So let's continue. So how do you pass a law without plunging your economy into chaos? You don't. Call in the parliament and convince them to approve the law changes. How that works in detail, we will talk about when we talk about parliaments. Okay, so does this mean we can do this without authority? I guess, or not authority, wrong game. Without a stability? If this is the case, then we're going to have to figure out how to massage the parliament, and we'll figure about that more later. I'm surprised they didn't use redacted. Not very secret of them. They could have said when we talk about redacted. Okay. Also take into account is that while you will immediately lose the benefits of the previous policy, enacting a new policy takes time. This seems like a pretty cool change. Makes sense. Gives you a pretty significant opportunity cost that you are going to be left without a bonus for some time. Depending on your administrative efficiency, it can take several years until you reap the full benefits of +1 tax efficiency, just like in real life. Okay. not only countries have laws, many international organizations have laws as well, where in some of them it's something that the leader of the Holy Roman Empire can enact on their own. In some, there are specific countries that can vote on a policy being approved or not, and many more other options possible. We will go into details when we talk about the specific international organizations. This is pretty cool, and it's going to be super cool for modding as well. I assume that you will be able to have international organizations that have laws, and this will really give kind of a lot of flexibility for a variety of things, I think, but lacking concrete examples, it's hard to comment on. So what type of policies do we have in laws? Well, they're not just modifier stacks like many things in previous games. There we have a little bit of shade, but they enable and disable mechanics, they make the estates happy, and they have impact on your societal values. All of this sounds really cool, especially the societal values part, which we do see an example of down here below, but we do see some modifier stacking, I assume, but it's not merely that. Okay, here are a few examples of some laws. The levy law is an interesting choice. 2% or more of the peasants is a fair bit, then 20% of the nobles in nominal figures, but over time it has an impact on what your military focuses on. So we see inclusive levies, monthly progress to decentralization. We assume that decentralization is bad. Non-culture levy size plus 20%. And so, okay, we will get a lot more levies in the short term, but here we see noble levies talking about the societal values from earlier, gives monthly progress to quality, which I assume is a societal value and will have positive effects. And so sometime down the line, quite a bit, I'm not sure exactly what quality will be giving you, but that it is moving you towards this is going to be something that is going to be important. And maybe the noble levy size isn't really the useful thing, it's the monthly progress towards quality that's useful. And then we see peasant levies, which is kind of the reverse. Monthly progress towards quantity and peasant levy size is increased. And then, of course, the very funny, or is it a way to kill nobles more efficiently? We do love killing the nobles. Naval doctrine was a concept in EU4, and here, that's too green, and here it is with a law with a lot of different options depending on who you play as. Depending on who you play as is interesting, so I'm taking that to mean that not all of these are available to everyone, but we see fleet in being, giving minus navy maintenance, free oarsmen giving plus galley power, and so if you're in an inland, like the Mediterranean, free oarsman is going to be more powerful, but it's going to affect how you play. Merchant navy, merchant power from maritime, plus trade range. This is probably what I'm going to be interested in jamming. We have shipboarding, which gives ship capture chance, so I guess if you're mixing it up a lot, this will be useful, or if you're engaging in piracy or the like. And then wooden wall, combat outside own coasts, a very interesting modifier, and of course it does spark a little bit of interest for England, but if you have a massive fleet, is it really that important that you have combat outside of own coasts? I'm not really sure. I mean, like, I have no idea how to evaluate any of these modifiers because they're just kind of hanging modifiers out in the aether and there's no backdrop of the actual game to compare it against, but this kind of just seems a little bit weak relative to just having 10% bigger navy. But maybe I'm missing something. Combat with something like this. Maybe combat with combined with wooden wall is just insane or something. Okay. Your legal code has many different options depending on who you play as, but as England, you definitely have the important choice. The important choice? Okay. Civil law, we see, gives monthly progress towards centralization. So we take this as part of societal values. A cultural system, what I'm thinking that they are describing as societal values is something I think that Victoria 3 in particular really lacks, and I would love to see an entire like matrix of like societal values. I think multiculturalism should be a societal thing, not a legal thing. But anyways, we also see with that in civil law, administrative efficiency, which we saw earlier, allows you to change laws faster. So expecting to see the trajectory of the game for stuff to be gummy and difficult at the game start regarding the passing of laws and the efficacy of laws, and then to progress as you get access to better and better technology. And this is what allows you to become more of a globalized power, especially when you're taking into account things like control is going to decrease as you get further from the capital, and so the value and your ability to control farther flung empires is going to be low. I'm expecting to see that increase. I don't think we see any of these modifiers in particular here in the laws that they are shown, but I'm expecting to see something like this. Okay. We have common law, estate satisfaction equilibrium plus 5%. And it's I imagine that you get different play styles depending on which one you pick, and I'm hoping that one isn't necessarily like strictly better. And also, it could be the case that maybe there are custom laws for specific countries that make leaning into estates better. And if that's the case, maybe you go common law for those, but other countries have some custom features or custom buildings that makes something like civil law better. And I'm hoping that, you know, this creates play patterns that are unique to different nations. We see stability investment costs minus 10%. That seems good. Of course, all the modifiers seem good unless they're colored red, then they seem bad. We have traditional law, progress towards decentralization. I think that this is bad, but it could be that decentralized is better at some things. Estate satisfaction equilibrium plus 2.5%. It sounds like traditionalism in Victoria 3, which is not as good. More efficient government or more happy estates, or just the traditions. Tradition. Okay, in the later part of the game, press laws is something you will have to decide upon. And this is like, looking at this makes me think of Victoria 3 and how I wish that the press laws gave some other kind of modifiers other than text spread, and I think that there's like kind of more texture, and I think that they should inform your cultural stuff, and we get here like exactly what I'm thinking. In censored press, we get monthly progress towards communalism. That's a societal value as I take it, and so our society will be slowly shaped by this, and then this communalism can then further inform, if you were thinking from the Victoria 3 perspective, this could inform perhaps what laws people are agitating for, or something like this. We also see plus max literacy. Literacy, we know, gives bonuses, but it can also give malices. I think last week we learned that having slaves having higher literacy was going to create more problems for you, and so that maybe this is also going to cause more unrest with the extra max literacy. Although I assume censorship's good for decreasing unrest, right? Right? Okay. We have free press, monthly progress to free subjects, again, societal value, individualism as well, and so we aren't seeing what these societal values give in terms of bonuses, or things that are maybe not available unless you're past a certain threshold of the thing, but we can assume that stuff like that is there, and that our law is progressing us towards a particular society, and that our opportunity cost is trading off between these. I think that this system seems like really, really cool for creating emergent game situations based on these laws. We have minus crown power, which of course is something that is bad, so you are having a trade-off, and then max literacy plus 10%. And then we have state press only, monthly progress to serfdom and communalism plus 0.1, and crown power plus 20%. And so it could be the case that state press only is good early on, although they say this is good in the later part of the game, or it appears in the later part of the game, so not really sure. Generally, free pressy type stuff tends to be stronger in these games, but we don't really know. This is a tough choice, isn't it? Is that supposed to mean that it's not a tough choice? It's not, well, not as tough as that motorcycle outside. Okay, if you go with free press, the burghers might start building these in different towns and cities. Local newspaper, so we see this is an emergent this is a building that seems to be unlocked by free press, right? Required production method. Does it say anything about free press in here? Why is it that with free press burghers start building these here? I'm not really sure. It doesn't say anything about being unlocked or unlocking over here, but let's assume that it is unlocked by that. We see that this gives plus max literacy, and so we might have this cascading effect where we get a ton more literacy. It starts to help out in the technology development pathway because we're getting 10% here and 10% here, but then we lose crown power, so we're going to lose income that's going to the crown, and instead it will be going to things like the burghers, and so it'll be more hands-off, but it might be more power overall. Who knows? That's what it seems like. Here's an example of a religious law about what religions your heirs can belong to. Any religion will give clergy state satisfaction equilibrium minus 50%. That seems like a really hefty modifier. And then tolerance for heretics and heathens, and then heir of any religion, yes. Here we get same religion, where they will be more happy, and true faith will get tolerance. I wonder what any religion seems probably not as good, but if this is good, yeah, I mean, looking at this seems a little bit better. And then we see same religious group, which is kind of halfway in between, minus stability investment group, and it has to be of the same religious group. Okay. Clearly the clergy are not as tolerant as they need to be. Oh man. Speaking of heirs, the succession law mechanic, while is not technically a law, but uses another mechanic, primarily because we want to always ensure that there's a valid and enforcing country to always have one. This special law is very much dependent on government type, okay? We have a lot of unique ones, like the papal conclave, where when the pope dies, the cardinals get together to debate who will be the new pope. This can be quick, but sometimes it takes several years. We have different election methods for republics, and of course the classic Salic and semi-Salic as some of the options for monarchies. So we see the Salic law here. It's a type of succession law of a monarchy in which the ruler is always the oldest male child of the previous ruler. Female children can never inherit. The truth hurts. Welcome to the 1300s. Nor transfer the right to the throne to their own sons. Here we see eligibility rules through siblings of ruler. Allow children, allow male. Current ruler is ignored. Allowed states only nobility. And we see eligible characters that are ranked as follows: score for male plus 100. Score per years of age plus 1. That seems straightforward enough. It's just going to be the oldest male. Okay, a difference on view of this will never cause any wars, I'm sure, naturally. For all of these who like to modify games, all of these are 100% controlled from the text files, so it will be highly moddable. And this system of having laws kind of trickle and permeate into various other aspects of the game, I think is really cool. And then we hear, stay tuned, because next week we're going to be wishing you a happy Wednesday. And other than that, you know, the less important thing, we will finally talk about ages and institutions, which is something we have hinted at for many weeks. That is going to be exciting. That is exciting for next week. So with that, looking forward to next Happy Wednesday. But with that, I will wish you guys a happy Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And other than that, happy Wednesday. There's 2 this week.